Okay, this is part 2 of formatting this terrible monstrosity of a score called My Score. Now, I'm just looking at it and constantly seeing little things I could do better throughout this. That is pretty common to have that feeling. Now that I've done this 90%, I actually have so much more wiggle room to deal with, which is great. So let us jump right in. I'm going to just put some more space here. Maybe not that much more. Let's go. I always look at the bottom right here to see how much space I have. That looks good. Plenty of space here. In fact, some of those ones I really put in tight, like this one looks even tight. I can space out a bit more now, which is nice. Like that 0.91 I can move out to an inch, even though we are at a smaller resize. I think it's fine to have that extra space there if I'd like it, or I can keep it small. It doesn't really matter, however. And it's a bit of a shame that we have this empty space at the bottom, but I think in our situation, well, we can actually do a few things to make this better. So since we do have that extra space on that third page, why don't we just fill up that space? Now you'll notice that right here, this looks fine. This is a good spacing, but what would it look like if I just pushed down one measure, and I'm going to push the down arrow. That looks better, actually. It feels less cluttered to me. And now you'll notice this is all cluttered. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be pushing these measures forward, right? Like that looks great. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 measures here, and maybe 5 can become a standard for me. Maybe not. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight over all of these and go back to my page layout tool. And by highlighting, I did shift and then I clicked the bottom staff in the measure I wanted to. And page layout, I'm going to actually space systems evenly. And I'm going to try to do placing 5 systems on a page. I might change some things around, but let's try that out. Now that is unprecedented. I think I have no clue what happened there. Okay, that hasn't happened before to me. Let's see, what did I do wrong there? I think I meant to do something like, let's do that from all pages, place 5 systems. Oh, systems, my bad. Let's try something that I meant to do. Sorry. Let's do fit measures. That's what I want to do. Oh my goodness, that was a mistake on my part. So let's try that again. Let's go here, highlight all of this. And what I showed you is a different tool that is wonderful and not that circumstance. Let's go utilities, fit measure, and lock layout with 5 measures per system. That's going to work out a lot better. Oh, there we go. I could have done the math there, but that actually works out lovely. We had 30 measures, and we want 6 systems, so it makes a lot of sense to make the decision that we did right there. Now, I'm actually feeling like we even have, a bit of space down here. Again, we could just give ourselves a little bit more room here if we wanted to, or not. But it looks like I do want a little more room right here because there was some collision happening there. And I can give myself a little more space here even if I wanted to. This is looking kind of compact. Bring that out a little bit. And I will always have to have my eye on that mistake I made last tutorial because that 15 MA is all over the place, that 8 VB is all over the place. Might be easier just to do something like that in Page Tool. Thanks, Finale. All right, so we're good. I feel pretty good about this. We have 2 systems per page now, and aside from some silly things like that I just keep missing. And by the way, some of these formatting things are changing because we changed how many things were on each system. Now I don't know what's going on here. I think this is actually the cello's dynamics. My bad. This is one thing that if you change the number of measures per system, you might get some weird things like that because the way that it's being formatted, uh, it assumes that the things on that system are going to stay in the same place. So you might have to do a little bit of reworking things. So hopefully you're noticing maybe there's an order in which you should do these things. Maybe you should work with making it look nice and not compressed before you do your dynamics, or else you'll have to redo some of those, or before you format your dynamics. Definitely have them early on, but you might want to format them after you've made some of those decisions. For example, right here is another place where that could be aligned better. Okay, so we have it all done here. I'm feeling good about it. And it's time to do a few more things. We don't have a tempo marking. You need to always have a tempo marking. So let's throw it in there. You can create your own because the ones that they have probably are not what you want. I'm going to go say fast, quarter note, there's a space there, equals 160. That's a good one. Now, if you're like me and you enjoy fonts, you could go and change the font. Do know that the one you choose should be something that is not really annoying. In other words, don't use a fancy font. Use something that's very clear and easy to read, or else you're going to make your performers mad at you. So fast, that's good. You know, if I'm going to have a conductor read this, though, I wonder, maybe I want it a little bit bigger. So I can go here. If you notice, I unchecked that box to change the font. I can also change other things. Like maybe I just want to do fonts at 18. That might be a better option for me. So yeah, I like that. That's pretty good. Now if I'm going to use like a font like that, I might as well make everything that font. So I'm going to click in here, text, font, and I can do that same thing. There's that UGothic thing that I was using in the other one, though it had some other options there. I can change my name. Let's just do UGothic all the way. Let's even do it over here on the score. I like to unify all my fonts. And there are some other ways that you could be doing this as well. And by the way, all those different options we saw before, they're just over here. Okay, so that's great. If I want to change these, I could change those as well, but honestly, I'm okay with having those as Times New Roman, the standard. Again, you'll always see new things to change. Always, always. But we want to go and figure out parts now because our instrumentalists need parts. So I'm going to go to Document, Edit Part. There's, of course, shortcuts for everything. Go to the flute part. All right, this is the flute part. Holy cow. You can do the same exact things you were doing before here. Really easy. Just go to that page layout tool, give some more spacing between them. And maybe you're thinking, well, this is just a lot for someone to read. Well, good. Just do this. Move some things down. We can do the same fit measures thing that we had done before. You can just click, 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 click like that. And I'm happy about that. I mean, I have so much space on this page that I'm fine. If you're doing a multiple page score, which you might end up doing, you'll probably want to make sure you have some space at the end for page turns. Also, you might be considering if you have something like this, I almost always just go immediately into my part, right click and go multi-measure rests, create, because I want them. So here we go, 2-measure multi-measure rest. Okay, so let's go to the next part and see what we have there. Clarinet part. All right, Mr. Hoppy is happy to see us. Now, there's a collision there. There's some page layout things. I just want to give myself some space so it's not so cluttered and confusing, and my dynamics are kind of a little bit all over the place. But let's start off with what we said, the order that we might want to do these things in. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them here. I'm going to go down to 5 per system. Make my life a bit easier. That looks much better. And then now with the dynamics, I'm just going to go back. By the way, that's a little too much space for me now. Plugins, TG tools, align move dynamics. You could do it to the entire piece and just hope it works the best, especially if you look at it and see that things are mostly aligned already. And you'll notice that as I do that, all of these colors change. What this means is that they're not linked up to the score anymore. A linked dynamic is going to be every time you move it on the score, it's going to change in the part. So you should have your score pretty much done by the time you do parts, or else that linking will stop, as you can see right here. But yeah, I'm looking at this. There's a little bit of spacing. I don't like that this is so close to the dot. I'm going to move that down a little bit more. Every time you move something on the part, it's going to become unlinked like that. To link it back again, you can right-click, relink the score, but then it's going to bring it back to its original position, which might not be desirable when you get to this moment. Okay, making sure everything's good here. Okay, next one. Violin. Yucky, yucky, yucky. It's all just condensed right here. Move that down, move that down, move that down. We can do whole notes as we desire because they are just space fillers, killers, and so forth. But probably that 5 measure of the page. And again, you can just do what I showed you earlier. Just go to utilities, fit measures. I already have it on 5 because what I used last time, and just do that. And that is totally fine. And again, since that high note is conflicting right there, let's just move this all down a little bit at the starting, and then let's move this up above it all. That's going to be good for us. Now, some strategies that I've learned over the years is, for example, if I'm in an orchestra part, it might say fast, and then you have a piccolo at the top playing up in that range right there. And then on the score, you might move this up for the piccolo part, and then all of the parts as you're going through them are all going to have fast right down here, or sorry, right up here, and then they're not going to be so high up, and it's going to feel like it's way too high up. So what I might do on the score is have a collision in the piccolo and save all of my score as a separate file, and use that file to create parts. So then I'll actually put things in the score where they would naturally be if there weren't a piccolo there. And then I can deal with all the other issues a lot faster. Instead of doing it 25 times in the orchestra score, I can just put it all in a good position on the score option, and then go through all my parts and only have to adjust it for the ones that are up high. So again, on the score for my parts, on the finale file that I want to use parts for, my score might have this kind of collision there, but it's only going to be an issue for a few of them, as opposed to if I move this up high, all of my parts would have that issue. So again, that's like a little shortcut that I've learned. Might be other ways to implement what I just said as well. Okay, next one. All right, this one has a little more going on until the midway point where I got lazy. But again, you should have dynamics all the way through your score, but it's actually looking pretty good, to be quite honest. I just want to align my dynamics again since I have them. And I'm looking at this. Again, you should do more micro edits, but for the sake of our time, I'm just doing the farthest distance, which actually looks like it works pretty well in this particular situation. Maybe you'll want to have some more spacing between them. There are ways to do this that are not so arbitrary like that. You can space systems evenly across this page, which I can do like this, and that will space them across. For me, that looks like too much space. It kind of looks ridiculous, so I'm keeping it with that. But there are, again, other ways that you can system space before them, edit margins. There's all sorts of things you can do to help with your systems. Okay, and finally, the piano part. This one does go to a second page, which might be okay. But we do not like that there's only one isolated measure here. So what I'm going to do is probably help it out a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So our solution is going to be the same as before. Fit measures. There we go. It's not going to be a good place for a page turn because there's no breaks in this music. So I might as well space these out a little bit more, especially with these octava markings to make this very clear. And yeah, it's good enough. I don't really like that there's so much empty space here, and in another circumstance I might change this around, but holy moly, look at that collision right here. Now, the question is, on my piano part, do I really need this on all of my staves? You might say yes. So there's two things we can think about. Well, first off, if I want to keep that piano thing, well, maybe I need to change my page margins on this. So maybe I need to change this to 0.75 on the left for all pages, and that can solve my problem. Otherwise, I could actually just click in, right-click this. I can edit abbreviated group name and just delete it. That's the other option that I have right here. So in piano solo music, of course you would delete that. You don't need that. It's kind of obvious what's playing. Okay, well that's all of my parts. Now there's a few things that I omitted in our explanation. One of them is this copyright symbol down here. If you want to get to the thing that's beneath something, you just click it slowly a second time. This text right here, I didn't do this at the beginning, so I'm just going to throw in all of that information that I normally put down here, which for me is this. And you can see that it's already centered, so I'm just going to click on that and just push the arrow down. That's getting pretty close to the bottom. I might try to get it up a little bit, but hey, if it prints, I'm happy. Now again, we've talked about that maybe you don't want this thing at the top, maybe we want this at the bottom. I can go to Edit Frame Attributes and just simply bring it from the top to the bottom that way. And what some people will do in their score is actually do something like this. Yeah, look at my name, you should buy my music. The other thing you'll notice people do is you could actually take this page number right here, and you could bring that down here, and you could even do something like this. Now I'm ultimately advertising my piece, so that's a little bit too much for me, so I'll maybe do something like that. And I think that something like that, you'll notice that the pages, since I copy and pasted it from up there, there's other ways to do it, but you can see that it actually is giving me page 2, page 3, and it'll keep on going that way. Okay, so this is great. I'm happy. This is a good day. It is time to print my music. So I go to print, and I want to check all of them because I want to print all of them at the same time. And then I click OK. I'm not going to do that though, because what I want to do is create digital parts. So what I do is I like to print to Adobe PDF. If you have this option, that's a great way to go. Click OK, and then it's going to bring them all up individually and ask you questions about them. So choose where you want it to happen, and you just go for it. Let's go with my score in parts, technically. And now my score. So here we go. Now I forgot, I never actually saved my file, or else it would actually have my score on it already. So you probably should save, and I hope you've been saving a lot over this time. But it will automatically name the parts, which is helpful for you. As long as you've actually saved it. My computer's so excited about this whole situation. Still more to print. And voila. Now, if your Finale doesn't do that, you can go export PDF. However, there have been instances where I've noticed the discrepancy between what I have on the page and what happens in that PDF. So I find it safer to just go to the print thing. And of course, Finale 2014, it probably has gotten better over time. Okay, that's a lot with this. My score. I'm going to save that in the same folder. There's some other considerations that we'll deal with formatting, but that is a lot. That is plenty for you to chew over for a very long time. So, thus ends our considerations of formatting today.